Hello everyone, welcome to TBS Corporate Talk. This is Kanit Shupre with you, and today we have a very special guest who came all the way from India to be here with us. Please welcome Mr. Satish Kadu, an entrepreneur, a product and marketing geek, and an angel investor. So Mr. Satish, should you please introduce yourself?
Hi, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Satish Kadu and I run YOptima, which is a full funnel marketing automation platform.
Okay.
I started YOptima about 10 years back, and I'm on this trip to launch YOptima in Bangladesh in partnership with ABI, and really happy to be here in your studio and talking to you.
We're happy as well. So can you please tell us about your journey in Programmatic?
Yeah. So like I was saying, I started YOptima 10 years back, but prior to that, I was part of the founding leadership team at Comely Media, which was a spin-off from another company called Programmatic. And both these companies were there in the early journey of programmatic marketing from a global standpoint. Back then, programmatic wasn't called programmatic. It was basically on the technology backbone called real-time bidding. And
Real-time bidding?
Yes, real-time bidding. And Comely went on to become one of the largest media networks in APAC, headquartered in India. And Programmatic, and so that was focused on the demand side or advertisers. Okay. And Programmatic ended up focusing on the publishers or supply side, and is today the second largest sell-side platform globally, and is listed on NASDAQ.
Interesting. But what is programmatic marketing to begin with?
Yeah.
And how is it different from traditional marketing or digital marketing?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I think it's a very natural and somewhere a disruptive evolution that happened in the way digital media was getting bought and sold. So in the early days, an advertiser would talk to a publisher and do offline deals. And gradually, as the internet penetrated deeper, there were hundreds of publishers and hundreds of advertisers who needed to connect. And so at scale, the mechanism that made it available were ad networks, which were still offline agents representing publishers and then connecting with advertisers and agencies. But even that model, once it started scaling up, had its own gaps and challenges around transparency, around ensuring that the quality of those ads and placements is right. And there were pricing challenges, price discovery itself was a challenge. And all of that eventually got disrupted via this tech called real-time bidding, which made advertisers being able to connect with hundreds of thousands of publishers and websites and apps via a tech-led mechanism or via digital automation, and that's what programmatic marketing is. In many ways, this is not very different from the revolution that you would see in travel space when we used to go and book our travel vacations or tickets offline through offline travel agents. And today, all of that is now digitally possible via OTAs. Or even the stock market world where algorithmic trading is now, kind of become the norm, or we are able to buy stocks on any exchanges using tech. So this tech disruption coming to digital media is programmatic marketing. It's essentially an automation in the process of buying and selling media at a world scale.
Is it customer-centric, like targeted customer-centric?
Yes. So we call it audience targeting. So what are the benefits of programmatic marketing? Broadly, 4 benefits. It gives you massive reach at a global scale. Sitting in Bangladesh, an advertiser could target audiences here while they are browsing CNN.com, or they could target Bangladeshi diaspora in US, wherever they may be, and they might be actually browsing neither a Bangladeshi site nor a CNN.com, but some other website altogether, right? And so the boundaries of physical distance is broken thanks to this automation, right? So the number one benefit is massive unified reach, which means you can consolidate all your media buying via one platform without having to do 20 different deals with 20 different publishers and having its own measurement challenges, but also at times ending up in a situation where the same audience is being targeted 20 times across these 20 publishers, whereas some other audiences are under-targeted. This is what we call as a frequency histogram going suboptimal. So you want to optimize your frequency histogram, want to make sure that audiences are well targeted with the right frequencies, neither underexposed nor overexposed. That's possible thanks to this biggest benefit, which is unified reach and frequency control. That's today the number one benefit of this automation and programmatic marketing.
Okay.
The second benefit is layering audiences on top. So being able to do audience targeting and making sure that you're not buying websites, but you're targeting the relevant audiences who are visiting those websites and apps. Third benefit is the pricing benefit. Because it's programmatic and it's auction enabled, you are able to get access to a high volume of inventory from quality publishers, but with a market efficiency that auction brings in. Number 4 benefit is the transparency around reporting that advertisers get access to via one common mechanism where they can see where their ads are running. And if you are running your programmatic buying via the right actors, then you can make sure that you're getting all these 4 benefits.
Okay, so you're partnered with different web publishers.
Yeah, so the way the ecosystem works is there are millions of publishers whose inventory is getting auctioned via exchanges, much like stock exchanges. So there are 50 exchanges like that.
Okay.
Google runs the largest exchange called Google Ad Manager. And these exchanges are then plugged into by the demand side platforms. They are called DSPs, which run algorithms to predict the right price for the right ad. And then the auction happens. And then behind the DSPs are the operator of those DSPs or multi-DSP platforms such as YOptima. We then work with advertisers and agencies to deliver results for them.
Okay.
So it's an ecosystem with a few layers.
Okay, so this is a new concept, right?
So, interestingly, this concept originated in 2007 when some of the earliest DSPs and exchanges got built. MediaMath was one of the earliest, AppNexus was one of the earliest. There was another player called Invite Media, which Google acquired. So, Google also runs the largest DSP in the space called Google DV360. By the time it got adopted to a great extent. I would say in India, the adoption went through a tipping point 3-4 years back. And we think that in Bangladesh, perhaps this is rightly poised right now to go through a non-linear adoption from here. But in a market like US, programmatic accounts for more than $100 billion of ad spends out of a $160-170 billion market that it is, which means all of display and video media, majority of it is today enabled programmatically and bought and sold programmatically in a market like US, in a developed market.
So how big is the global market?
Yeah. So the global overall digital ad market is about $650 odd billion. Okay. Out of which 160 odd is US alone, right? But out of that $160 billion market, programmatic accounts for $100 billion plus. So programmatic is mainstream. It is now the de facto mechanism of buying media at scale. It's just that its adoption curve in different markets has been different based on the typical adoption cycle that some of these new tech take. And because a lot more ecosystem needs to get built in the process. Publishers need to become comfortable selling their media in an automated mechanism. Advertisers need to build their familiarity and expertise around it. And operators and players like YOptima who bring in that expertise need to also find the market, rightly poised to launch their solutions and services.
So you're one of the pioneers who brought this concept to India.
That's right. We were one of the first programmatic marketing companies in India. And and I think it has taken a long time. We have seen the journey where programmatic was, nobody knew programmatic, to people using it as an experiment, to finally seeing it as a consistent line item in the plan, to finally programmatic becoming the plan. So today, programmatic has emerged from being yet another pillar in a marketing strategy, for a digital marketing strategy, in addition to Google Ads and Meta and marketplaces and programmatic. To today, it has become, to an evolved marketeer, a foundation of their media buying, which is basically powering the concept of full funnel marketing. And through that concept, marketeers are driving their next level of growth and incrementality once they realize their pure bottom funnel focus approach, which is leveraging purely performance marketing to drive scale. Once they see that it's leading to diminishing returns, they realize they need to invest in the full funnel, they need to build the brand, they need to build the market, category, they need to drive consideration. That's when they do digital branding. And as digital branding has become mainstream, programmatic today has become the de facto mechanism that powers it.
So was it an experimental project for you, or you always believed in this project when you started it?
That's an amazing question, actually. So back in 2013, I had seen programmatic evolving over 5 years prior to that. And I had the opportunity to build the region's first programmatic marketing platform called Atom in my Comely days. And prior to that, I was with Yahoo, where we were building for Yahoo, back then the largest internet company in the world, their behavioral targeting platform. And so some of the seeds of what became programmatic were sown during those Yahoo times, by Yahoo, the market giant. And so there was behavioral targeting back then, limited to Yahoo's network of inventory, which was massive, getting democratic to include hundreds of thousands of publishers. And so then programmatic started becoming mainstream. And in 2013, when I started YOptima, programmatic had already taken a good degree of adoption in a market like US, in developed markets, where it was poised to be about $5 billion of ad spend in US by 2015. So the belief was there that this would be an irreversible mechanism of media buying because it's automation at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If you are doing certain things in an offline way and now you have the benefit of automation that's driving greater reach, scale, transparency, market adopts it.
The
And so there was a belief
certainly
that this is going to be an
yeah.
irreversible mechanism of media buying.
Yeah.
And it has played out that way. But it has taken different amount of time in different markets. So I think, did I see that it'll probably take 6 more years before it would get adopted as a mainstream media? I thought it would probably happen sooner.
Okay.
It took its time in India. But in a market like US today, it is the de facto mechanism.
Okay. But since you were working in this field for a while now, did you notice any top trends in the sector?
Yeah, and I think those trends have evolved over a long period of 10 years.
Okay.
First thing was, in the first few years, it was called real-time bidding, which was only limited to publishers selling their remnant inventory via programmatic or open auctions. To then the automation coming in, and that's why it was called programmatic, or basically automated, where publishers started putting their premium inventories as well via both open auction as well as via deals called private deals. And as that started taking shape, programmatic became more mainstream. And now in recent times, the emerging trends are connected TV, for example, has become big now. So smart TVs, running ads on smart TVs is enabled programmatically. Increasingly, the linear TVs are getting replaced by smart TVs. The new TVs that are being purchased are smart TVs. We call them connected TVs. And if you look at the audience pyramid, then the top of the pyramid audiences are already cord cutters and cord shavers. Like, for example, in our family, we've stopped watching linear TV. And when I check with the network around us, most people have either moved on from linear TV to connected TV, or they are watching it, very sparingly. So that's top of the pyramid audience.
How do you place these ads on TVs, like from broadcasting channels or OTT, like Netflix or something like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So all OTTs now, some of them are still subscription-led, but many others are adopting advertising-led models.
Okay.
And so YouTube is the largest player on connected TV, but there are also OTTs, such as back in India, Sony Live, Z5, JioCinema. They are all OTTs that are programmatically enabled one way or the other. And so if you look at the top of the pyramid audiences, connected TV now is the preferred mechanism of marketers who are targeting premium income audiences. Similarly, at the bottom of the pyramid, digital has become mainstream because bottom of the pyramid audiences now have higher mobile penetration than TV penetration. Which means marketeers that are targeting the hinterlands and the bottom of the pyramid audiences have to adopt digital. And so digital has become mainstream, digital branding has become mainstream, and that's something that's leading to rise in CTV on one hand, and the rise in overall allocation of spends to digital on the other, in markets like India and other emerging markets, including Bangladesh. The other trend we see is more and more publishers realizing the value of this automation and therefore opening up more of their supply or inventory to programmatic. And the third trend is publishers as well as data players enabling their data as first-party data with the richness that audience data would bring in, and making it available for advertisers to target such audiences. So for example, some of the large payment platforms in India are making their audience behavior with opt-in available for marketers to target with the right signals that marketer would be looking at.
Okay, so when the digital marketing got mainstreamed, that's where programmatic stepped in.
Exactly. When digital branding became mainstream, programmatic became the most natural channel to drive what we call as full funnel media buying. And so you're looking at the next level of growth, we call it incrementality.
Okay.
You need full funnel media buying. When you need full funnel media buying, programmatic is the most efficient and the largest media consolidation that's available that runs it. And that's where YOptima comes in. So we are a full funnel media automation platform.
Interesting. So what are the services you were building around this programmatic?
Yeah. So, we today are a multi-DSP platform. We partner with Google, and we use Google's DSP called Google DV360. That's the world's
That's
largest demand-side platform. We also have Criteo as in our stack. We have the Trade Desk joining soon in that stack, and we have Amazon DSP as part of that stack, and so on. That's the bottom layer of our stack.
Okay.
On top of that, we've built 3 products, Neo, Audience Y, and Deep View. And these 3 products enable us to deliver accelerated performance and efficiencies to the marketeers. Audience Y helps them understand who their customers are, even without having to buy media. And so it's like a day zero intelligence that Audience Y creates. It helps drive some amazing discoveries around the actual consumption patterns of marketeers' audiences, sometimes very counterintuitive signals coming out of it. Neo is a deep domain expert bot that automates campaign management, and Deep View is our data-driven performance acceleration engine. So these 3 today give us unique ability to deliver better results and faster results to our marketeers.
Okay, can you share some examples where brands got leverage or some sort of impact to programmatic?
This is great. So in fact, and there has been benefit across a spectrum of advertisers. But let me talk about the benefit to the audience discovery itself. So Audience Y is our day zero audience intelligence platform. When it was deployed for one of the world's largest domain registration platforms, they were in India for 7 years prior to engaging with us, and they were under the belief that their largest target market in India would be SMEs, small and medium business enterprises, because the need for a web presence starts with an SME. However, when we did the audience discovery analysis for them using our tech Audience Y, it revealed that 80% transactions for this brand were never done by SMEs at all. But they were done by web designers and SEO professionals hired by a non-tech savvy SME market that India is. So while the marketer was right in targeting SMEs on, with the premise that the need for a web presence starts with an SME, at the mid-funnel, the missing link in their strategy was they had missed out targeting these audiences. And that communication strategy then evolved to a point where we were driving more than 1/5 of their entire India business over the next 3-4 years.
So this is a great way of understanding customer psychology.
Exactly. Quite often, marketers know what customers do on their website and app.
Yeah.
But they may not know, and they want to know, what else do these guys do on the internet? Who are these people? What are their unique consumption patterns? And that's what Audience Y discovers. Okay. Sometimes it discovers intuitive patterns, and sometimes it discovers counterintuitive patterns. The other product we have, Neo, when it was run for one of Indonesia's largest health tech company, helped them drive a J-curve growth during the pandemic, and post-pandemic established their unassailable lead as a market leader with a very strong baseline ahead of competition, which otherwise was actually getting into their market share and almost risking their market leadership until then.
Okay. So you are an angel investor, right? So while investing, what are the factors you keep in your mind about the startups?
Yeah. So, typically, and I would say most investors perhaps follow the similar template.
That you're going to make some money. Is it money making or not?
No. So, in terms of evaluating the startup, so typically one looks at what is the core problem this startup is solving.
Okay.
Are they solution focused or are they problem focused?
Okay.
We basically, like to believe that entrepreneurs should be in love with their problems rather than in love with their solution and biased by their solutions. So number one is about what is the pain point they're solving, and is it a large enough market opportunity? So that's the number one thing we would look at. Not number one, but that's one of the things we would look at. The other thing is the team and the capabilities that they bring to the table. Do they have something really unique that gives them the advantage to solve this problem better than the copycats? Because the bandwagon would follow very soon if that business idea, if that venture idea is really promising, right? You would soon be chased by the next dozen startup entrepreneurs who's going to come into that space if that space is really hot enough. And so, do you have any unique advantage in terms of tech or distribution or any other form of core competitive advantage that can keep you as a sustainable leadership, from a sustainable leadership standpoint, over a period of 3-5 years? And is there an early mover advantage? But more than that, I also tend to look at, is it just the early mover advantage, or is there a sustainable advantage that this startup brings to the table? Number 3, and perhaps I would say the most important one, is the founding team itself.
Okay.
Because most of the angel investors, the early stage investors, are really investing in the founding team. Their drive, their persistence, their ability to stay passionate over a longer period of time, I think that matters perhaps a lot more.
Okay.
And how much driven they are about this. What's their core motivation?
So you spend substantial amount of time with these founders before investing?
So I would say it depends. When I'm investing directly, then absolutely with the founders.
Okay.
When I'm investing via a platform like AngelList, then I try to do the background read, and I try to look at who else are investing in them.
Okay.
But yeah, I tend to stalk them on LinkedIn, for instance. Okay.
Okay, so how do you differentiate YOptima from other programmatic platforms in Bangladesh?
Yeah. So I would say that Bangladesh still looks like a very early stage market to us. So we are not really focused on the competition at this stage.
Okay.
We would rather focus on the customers and the market. Generally, that's what we do. And we've had some very promising meetings with the large agencies and independent agencies here, as well as marketeers. And we see that the market is still in its early days. Some marketeers have tried programmatic, perhaps have got a mixed response around it. And somewhere we believe that maybe programmatic was not sold right to them, and maybe their expectations were wrongly set, or maybe their deliveries were not well done either.
Okay.
And there are others who have tried it, has worked for them, and they are keen on figuring out something differentiated that we bring to the table. And then there are others who are just intrigued to try it out. So we believe that it's still very early days of programmatic. We are actually excited about our partnership and what Tanveer, who runs ABI, brings to the table by way of his relationships in the market, his network, and the respect that he earns in the market. But the core differentiation we bring to the table, other than having a local partner who has a reassuring presence in the market, beyond that, what we bring to the table is really a tech-focused approach that we've taken as a multi-DSP platform. So one thing is we are not competing with individual DSPs necessarily, because we bring in a collection of these DSPs to the table. But it's our tech-focused approach that drives early audience discovery, thanks to Audience Y, which creates insights-first approach for our marketeers. It delivers accelerated performance thanks to the other product we have, which is Deep View. And we bring in deep domain expertise to the table over the last 10, 15 years of being in this space, and hopefully evolved along the way, and has now been codified into another product of YOptima, which is Neo. Okay. So it's a tech-focused approach that we are taking, and yet doing it as a managed service in a highly consultative way is what our customers in India and globally love about us. And we believe that that's really the differentiation we bring to the table.
Okay, so what are your further plans regarding YOptima in Bangladesh?
Yeah. So, so over the next 6 months, we really want to grow the momentum that we've created through this visit. We've met about 10 to 12 marketeers and agencies in this trip, and another dozen odd publishers in this trip. As I go back, our local partner here is going to continue and grow the momentum from here, follow up with the leads that we opened up. But we need to take our message to a lot more marketeers and agencies who are rightly primed at this stage for programmatic, something I'm counting on our local partner ABI to do that. But over the next 6 months, we would really like to see YOptima being able to deliver value to the marketers and agencies here, and creating that next level of milestone for us to say that, hey, looks like we are establishing a good foundation here, and then now let's further double down on our investments to grow the market a lot more. And we would be looking at, I'm actually already planning for our second trip soon enough, and we would be looking at participating in various forums and panels and occasions where we could actually share our case studies and experiences and success stories with the marketers and agencies here, and provide the thought leadership.
Okay. So how was your trip so far? I hope the traffic was kind.
Coming from Bangalore, I felt very familiar.
Okay.
I was telling my friends and friends here as well that so far I've not seen anything worse.
It feels like neighbor.
Yeah. So, and I mean, really, it felt like home. It felt like family. I spent time at our partner's home. One of the days we had dinner together. We sang together.
Okay.
It really felt at home, and I'm absolutely thrilled by the trip. And at the same time, it felt just so much at home.
We heard that you were a diehard fan of cricket. Do you follow India-Bangladesh matches?
I do, absolutely. And right from the 2007 match, I think, where Bangladesh beat India.
Okay.
And we lost in the World Cup. We got out too early. Yeah. But absolutely. And I would say I used to follow cricket a lot more actively until the cricketers of my generation were around, which is Tendulkar, Dravid, and the Fab 4, Fab 5. These days I do follow cricket, but the special matches largely, like the World Cup matches and so on. I don't necessarily watch matches otherwise as much, but I do read up about them, so I'm always up to date about what's going on.
Thank you so much, Mr. Satish, for being here. It was such a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Shupriya. Really loved the time I spent here. Thanks for the opportunity.
My pleasure. Thank you all for watching.